of people that were shot and injured and the same number of people that are deceased. So at this point, there are five that were shot and injured, one that is deceased. I'm open for questions.
How old were they?
I have a list here that I will provide to each of you when this is over.
Do you have any idea what was the motivation for the shooting?
We do have an idea, but Danny, we're probably going to keep that internal right now because I think the motivation involved in the shooting will affect the outcome of the investigation.
And so, tell a little bit about, you responded to the shooting, but you also responded to ORMC.
So the way that happened, we actually had a sergeant that was at ORMC on another case, unrelated case to this, when the truck drove up that was carrying multiple victims. He was quickly able to determine that those shooting victims came from Carriage House also. The call came out to us as a drive-by shooting with possibly one victim. And when we arrived on scene, we did find a victim. Officers applied medical attention, tourniquets, that sort of thing to that victim. OFR responded to that scene, excuse me, and did transport to Medical Center Hospital.
So the shooting victims were transported by personal vehicle?
Yes, by personal vehicle, yes.
So has OPD done any intelligence gathering in that particular area regarding to increase in crime, drugs, or gang-related issues?
Well, it is one of our semi-hotspots. As this investigation goes on and more of it, we can tell more of it, you'll understand more of what happened. I think this is not a random act. This was a planned act, and I do believe that both parties involved were familiar with each other.
Did they shoot? Did somebody come and shoot at these people, or did they shoot each other, or how did it happen?
So yeah, there was multiple shots fired by multiple people.
You know what kind of weapons were used?
And again, we're not going to release that because that could affect the outcome of our investigation.
You made mention that there were two persons of interest that y'all were looking for.
Right.
Have you had any, is there any updates on like whether you found them or you're still searching?
All right, we are still searching and we have had some tips and we're following up those tips right now.
Are these people familiar to the police department that you're looking for?
If you saw our release earlier, you know we didn't put any names with those people, so these are people that we need to identify.
Is there a possibility that these persons of interest may try to go to Mexico? Are you having other agencies involved in the investigation?
So yeah, when we have something major like this, every major agency in this area is notified. We do put out a regional alert, so that's absolutely that happens.
So is Border Patrol involved in any way?
Now that I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you specifically if Border Patrol is involved.
Any update on the condition of the other people who were still in critical condition or anything when they got there? Like, are they still alive?
And like I said, as far as I know, the one that we announced earlier that had deceased, that is our only deceased at this moment. We haven't been notified of anything else. And really, for medical conditions, I would advise you guys just to call those hospitals.
Were they all taken to medical center, or were some taken to?
No. So the truck actually went to Odessa Regional Medical Center, ORMC.
And then was somebody airlifted somewhere?
I had heard that. I have not had that confirmed.
And do you know like how many times people were shot? Because somebody on Facebook said that their grandson was shot like 5 times.
Yeah, I don't have that information. That's part of the ongoing investigation.
Were any of these kids like ECISD students?
And again, I will tell you that the vast majority, if not all, had Odessa residences.
Do you think it was related to gang or?
We're not going to talk about any type of motivation or gang motivation at this time because it is an ongoing investigation, and it is extremely important to us that we bring this investigation to a successful conclusion.
Now, the vehicle that they fled in, do do you have any description or license plates?
So the vehicle that took the injured folks to the hospital, that was the vehicle that we're looking for.
Oh, and but the person that shot,
They left on foot.
they were
Yeah.
So do you have a vehicle description you can give for the vehicle you're looking for?
Again, we don't have a vehicle that we're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did these people know each other?
There's, like I said before, there's an indication that they were familiar.
Has that particular apartment complex, has that always been a hot spot for y'all?
That apartment complex over time has had some issues. Nothing, I don't think that it's really popped as a hot spot here recently.
Did this shooting affect any of the businesses that were in that strip?
Not to my knowledge. We've had no reports of that.
And those were the only people that were injured or killed?
To our knowledge, yes.
Does everyone who lives in the surrounding area, whether it's at the complex itself or just communities around it, should they still, like at this time, be like kind of like on alert, looking out for things? Like, do they have anything to really worry about at this moment?
So there's really no indication that, again, that any of these people, it's unknown if any of these people even live there. You have people in a vehicle and people that walk up to that vehicle. So that's the indication. So again, this does not seem to be random. This seems to be targeted, one group against another group. And so I would say probably not. I think those people are safe, and we don't feel like there's a threat.
You mentioned, the news release said it was an isolated incident, but like, what does that mean? And should people worry?
Well, that means because anytime there's a shooting, particularly in some media and always on social media, everybody says it's a mass shooting, it's an active shooter situation, and this obviously was not.
And did it take place in the apartments?
Actually,
Outside?
no, it took place in the parking lot.
Oh, in the parking lot
Yes.
of the apartments, okay.
What are some recommendations you're giving out to the people that live there, because they're scared for their safety after this? What would you say to them?
I would say just what I've said. This absolutely appears to be an isolated, targeted incident. It's not a random act. No one involved in this was randomly walking around just trying to find someone to shoot. That's not what happened here. So absolutely, when something like this happens in a neighborhood, in an apartment complex like that, people are going to be cautious, and we understand that. And we understand that. I'll just say to them that please be vigilant, and we understand their concern.
Now, are you already talking to the people that were injured to get more info, or you're waiting on them to get cleared?
No, so some of the ones that we're able to talk to, we've talked to. Obviously, some of them are injured to the point where we can't speak with them. But yeah, as soon as we were able to, we talked to those victims and those potential suspects and any witnesses. Absolutely. This was an investigation that kicked off as soon as we got the call. This was an all-hands-on-deck investigation. What I mean by that is we had every detective, every member of our traffic unit, and every member of our intelligence unit was out last night working on this case.
How many suspects do you have?
Again, from the video that we showed you guys, we have those suspects.
Two?
Yes.
And was this drug-related?
And again, we're not going to go into motivation.
Is there anything else you would like to?
Sure. Number one, it's a regardless of motivation and why this happened, it's a sad and tragic thing for those families that have to live through this and go through this. These are when I hand out the sheet here that details the ages of these folks, you'll understand that they're all teenagers. Everyone involved in this is a teenager. And regardless of participation or what happened, it's tragic.
How does a teenager get a hold of, I mean, I know they could probably take their parents' gun, but how would you get a hold of a gun?
Well, Ruth, the Odessa Police Department has been saying forever and ever and ever, don't leave guns in vehicles, right? Don't leave guns in vehicles overnight because we have a lot of guns stolen out of vehicles. So that's one way. Another way is simply to take your parents' guns. That's absolutely true.
Were they illegal guns or legally purchased?
That, we're still in the process of running those traces. So, again, going back to the families, you know, it is tragic that anybody, any family, any mother, grandmother, brother, sister has to go through the loss of a loved one, particularly for something like this. So, you know, our prayers do go out to them and on both sides of this, because it's going to be hard for everyone involved, all the families involved.
When could we, like, you know, I know that this is still an active investigation. You know, when can we expect possibly like another update?
So we will update you as we have stuff. I mean, so we can't, I'm not going to schedule an update and you waste your time, because I'm just telling you the same thing. I don't want to do that to you guys. So when we have things, we will, if we make an arrest, we'll update you almost immediately, as quickly as we possibly can. Okay? And obviously, if someone, as we've been doing with our social media posts, if someone identifies who these people are, we will say thank you for helping us identify, you know, thank our public for helping us to do that, to help possibly solve the crime.
I'm good.
This, one in this row.
Acabamos de terminar la conferencia de prensa con el jefe de policía de aquí de la ciudad de Odessa, nos están explicando algunos de los motivos sobre esto y algunos detalles. Tenemos información.
Let me get some copies.
De las
How many copies do we
guías
need? 1, 2,
donde
3,
tendremos
4, 5,
información de
6,
qué es lo que
6?
ocurrió.
Is that right?
Vamos, estamos